Hey everyone, it's Craig.
And Katya.
And you know what we want to tell them about?
Hawaii Five-0 is having a sale on pilgrim hats.
That's right, and pumpernickel.
Pumpernickel bread is so underrated. That's why I choose rye.
And that's why I like to go check out my options on patreon.com/Katya and Craig.
That's where all the relevant tea is spilled, as it were, and not to mention certain facts that can be used as receipts upon dragging a person, tearing off their wig, going off, snapping. Snatching.
Absolutely.
Spalding.
Oh,
Spalding Gray her. Drag her, monologue her.
Diane Weist her.
Oh my God. Ellen Barkin her to death, hunty.
Barbara Hershey.
Oh, who Hershey?
Who was she?
Damn.
Find out all that and more on patreon.com/Katya and Craig. Because what do we have there? We got the bonus episodes?
We got bonus episodes. We got extra episodes. We got exclusive episodes. We got firewall pay-through non-standard secret episodes. We got movie clubs. We got anti-movie clubs. We got fish and chips. We got haggis. We got deals and deal or no deals. And we got Howie Mandel's OCD pay-per-view comedy hour.
That's right. Absolutely. All that and more, plus listen to questions. So listen, go there at patreon.com/Katya and Craig and enjoy yourself. So listen, why don't we get into the episode now?
A Russian ballerina, stomping on a bureaucrat, a perky suburban housewife who just got into scat. It's whimsically volatile.
How's your headphone level?
Great. It sounds exactly like the podcast.
Okay. Do you have an issue with non-reimbursement of business travel expenses? Need authorization on funds for the office holiday party? Or perhaps you need clarification on your company's 401k matching program? Well, if that's the case, you're in luck. Because today on Whimsically Volatile, we're going to CC and BCC with the Australian mistress of red tape and filing in triplicate, Karen from Finance. Welcome.
Wow. You nailed her to a T.
I like to nail them to the T. You know what I'm saying? And before we proceed, let's get into a beverage. Nothing thrills me like a sound effect, so here we go. Now, I normally like to let the guest open their own beverage, but I'm presenting Karen with a genuine Victoria Bitter.
An authentic chilled can of VB. Wow. On the other side of the world, this is incredible.
VB is the biggest beer in Australia, is that right? Or is it what is it?
Well, no, every state has its own iconic beer.
Oh, okay.
Whereas VB is from my state, Victoria, which is Melbourne.
Perfect, yeah.
I think internationally the biggest one is Foster's, even though in Australia Foster's doesn't really exist anymore.
As I discovered, now Foster's is owned, I think, by an American company.
I think it is now, at least. Anyway, yeah. They think it's huge in the UK. They kind of think it's huge here, I think. But VB's big one. I think in Perth, my favorite one is a red can. I think it's called Emu Export. It's a red can from Perth. I mean, I shouldn't be laughing about it, but it's nicknamed the Wife Beater. It's a pretty terrible beer, but iconically delicious.
Yeah, and only the finest of customers enjoy. Yeah,
exactly.
Yes, yeah. So that comes with a nice T-shirt or something, a nice Wife Beater T-shirt.
Well, yeah, it's more of like a sleeveless Bonds.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Like the blue trucker kind of color.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, sleeveless. That's the key. That's the key. So is beer your favorite tipple, or what would be?
No, I like a Sailor Jerry spiced rum, lime, and Coke.
Oh, yeah.
I also love a delicious, expensive champagne.
And you said before we started taping, it was lovely of you. You were considering bringing a bottle of champagne.
Well, yeah. I went down. There's a beautiful wine store down the road here.
Oh, Melon Rose.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I was having a look at the chilled champagne, but there's nothing worse than when you bring a bottle of something to someone's house that doesn't drink. It gives this expectancy that's just, it sets you off on the wrong tone.
Right.
So,
hey, we're going to have fun. Oh, no, I guess we're not going to have fun because you don't want to, do you?
Hey, you don't have to drink to have fun, and I'm all for not drinking. It's I support that. I think it's a great choice, but me personally, I love it.
Yeah. Well, look, whatever works for anyone is my policy. You know what I mean? I'm always happy when people are happy. That's why I like to keep a full bar. You know what I mean? And
a full bar. I didn't think I would turn up in Hollywood and be offered a chilled can of VB. This is just remarkable.
Well, thank you. I like to make it little special moments for our guests, and we had a lovely meeting. Our first meeting was at Mardi Gras.
How well do you remember it?
Oh, I was told later on that I had people report back to me that we met and had a lovely time. I remember I remember being very fuzzy.
Yeah, sure.
I also remember a moment in the big pavilion where we stepped what I thought was like, oh, I guess we're going outside. Oh no, there's no outside here. You know, that kind of thing where the dark part of the ceiling, I thought, oh, that's the outdoor part of the pavilion. There is no outdoor part of the pavilion.
It's that late stage of the night where inside is outside and outside is inside and you're neither up or down.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's exactly when we met.
I think you're right as well. And I think I said something to you like, sorry, I'm a little under the weather there.
That's exactly what came out of your mouth. Meanwhile, I was there in full drag. Yeah. Maybe it was 4:00 in the morning. I'd been in drag for about 16 hours.
Yeah.
I still looked beautiful.
You absolutely did.
My shoes stayed on until 8:00 in the morning when I got home. I mean, I looked beautiful. I was a little bit tragic. My wig line had slipped past maybe 2 millimeters, revealing that nice white line between the contour and the hair.
Yes.
I'd lost one of the pom-poms off of my blouse, and I'd lost an earring, but my favorite bit is that the toes of my fishnets had torn open and had sort of succumbed all the way halfway up my calf, and so I was walking around with one beautiful leg and then one with the illusion just destroyed
and fully ripped too, not just a run, but just completely destroyed,
completely open. But I had a big smile on my face and I was loving life.
No, you were a beaming light off of you. And this year you were the MC hostess of the party. What's the title for that?
Yes, so that was MC.
Okay,
I would call myself the MC, the host. That was of the white party on the Friday night.
Oh, I see. Okay,
which Aquaria was down headlining.
Right.
At Home nightclub. It was huge.
Went to go see Aquaria. That was fantastic.
It was a really fun show. It was really fun to be in a giant nightclub.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Right. You don't get a lot of those.
Yeah. I feel like as the years have gone by, the last few years have gone by, the drag shows were in the nightclubs.
Yeah.
And then they started getting really, really big.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we were in the theaters and I feel like I've forgotten what it's like to be in a giant nightclub like that. It was amazing.
It is a specific experience.
It's a specific experience.
Yeah. It was lovely. And also being able to go back and forth between the different venues was nice.
Yes.
As well.
Of course.
I'd heard a lot about possible sniffer dogs being there and heavy security, but then later was told that it was really much lighter than previous Mardi Gras. And I was curious if you could run down kind of what the, I guess, Big Brother-like presence there can be in Australia.
Sure. Well, it's very specifically New South Wales.
Oh, it is.
Which is Sydney.
Okay.
The rest of the states are not like that at all.
Okay.
We call New South Wales the nanny state. The police presence is really intense there. It's really strict. And the ministers and Lord Mayors are very backwards.
I see.
They invented these crazy lockout laws a couple of years ago in response to someone that died on the streets, which is understandable, but it's just really archaic and it's completely destroyed the nightlife in Sydney.
Oh, really?
And so when things like Mardi Gras come around, the police presence is so heavy.
Yeah.
And I guess what the controversy is that there's other events or festivals or gatherings in Sydney that are of the same stature as Mardi Gras that are not as heavily policed. They police it because it's a gay event.
Right.
The gay event does mean there's lots of drugs there.
What?
But,
Wait, hang on a second.
How dare they judge us?
Listen, I think you're jumping to conclusions. I think that I was amazed to see finally later in the night, Jason and I saw bottles of poppers. Mm-hmm. Someone had to check a bottle of perfume at the beginning of the night, right? So I didn't think anything of the poppers at first, except for like, hooray! And then later I was like, wait a second. How did they get those in? Oh, I know how they got those in there.
That's how they got everything in there. You also may have noticed little Kinder Surprise capsules spotted around. Do you have Kinder Surprise here? Do you know what that is?
I think someone told me that they were illegal mostly in the States, but you do see them a lot in LA. So I don't know if that's just over in the East Coast of the States, which is where I'm originally from. But yeah, those Kinder Surprise things are massive, right?
That's the number one traffic capsule.
Oh, really? Well, that's good to know. See, you learn something every day on this show.
There you go. Yeah, we just kind of, we had a real giggle when we'd see them in the corner of the, of the club.
Someone really had some candy.
Someone had a great Easter egg. Yeah. But yeah, Mardi Gras, wow, it was such a moment. I thank goodness for our mutual friend.
Oh, yeah, Lance Horne.
Yes,
exactly. Who brought us together. I was so happy that happened.
He just took care of business on that dance floor because I think we just kind of smiled at each other and talked some gibberish and then that was it. But he took care of business.
Yeah, and he was like, it's fine. I got and then, like minutes later, we were in a group thread. He was like, here's the number. Like, I'm glad you all met. Yeah, he was amazing.
He's good like that.
And it's not like he was abstaining either.
No, not at all. Well, he's just very talented in that aspect.
He's wildly talented. Yes, exactly. Yeah, he's gifted, I would say.
Gifted, yes.
When leaving at 4 a.m, I was impressed that Lance and Kurt were going back for another round on the dance floor.
Oh, wow.
He's got a fabulous story, too.
I don't know his backstory.
Oh, well, I'm going to keep it a little bit of a mystery.
Keep it a mystery, because when I find out, it's going to be the right time.
Yes, exactly, right.
I think him and I met at Mardi Gras about 5 or 6 years ago for the first time, actually. And we kind of stayed in touch, and then I stayed at his apartment in New York, I think 2 years ago.
Oh, cool.
When I visited after DragCon 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, we yet to have that uncovering of the story.
We're going to expose her.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, have you worked with Lance? Because I know Lance does a lot of work over in Australia.
I haven't worked with Lance, no. The closest we've come I was in Edinburgh for the Fringe Festival last year. And Lance and Alan were over for Edinburgh Festival, which is separate to the Fringe Festival.
Alan Cumming, right?
Yeah, Alan Cumming, yes. And I got invited to do a show with them there, which was great. And we just had a little crazy banter on stage moment for about 5 minutes or so, but we had a great night there. But we've never specifically worked together, no.
Okay, well, I imagine at some point in the future.
I imagine so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah. Now, in terms of your story and exposing you, let's go back to the origin of the name, which everyone's always obsessed with.
That's the number one question, isn't it?
Yeah.
How and why?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I remember it very well. It was a Saturday afternoon. Some friends and I were going to a house party back in Melbourne, and we were at the thrift store earlier on in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And just as we were checking out, there was a rack of $15 like 80s prom dresses up for grabs. Yeah. And I at the time had a huge long beard, like down to my chest.
Oh wow. Okay.
Piercing central. Very mask, as they would say. Never considered doing drag. And so when we decided to buy these dresses and wear them to the party, it was kind of like a funny thing for us to do.
Yeah.
And we each bought one, and we wore them to the party, and everyone's having a little giggle, no makeup or anything. And we were wasted in the backyard late that night and started coming up with characters for the women that would have bought them brand new off the rack.
Yeah.
And we decided that the lady that bought my 80s, pink fluffy thing, she worked in finance. She's definitely single, middle-aged, very lonely, lived at home with her budgie, had nothing going for her, and her name was probably Karen. And that was that. We didn't think anything more of it.
Yeah.
But a few months later, it was a friend's 29th birthday party. The theme was Dolly, Denim, and Diamantes.
Can't fail with that.
I love Dolly Parton.
Oh, God, me too.
So does everyone.
Do you have a favorite Dolly era or song?
I can't go past the 80s 9 to 5 era.
Yeah.
And I've very recently I don't know how I missed it, but it's on the 9 to 5 album, 9 to 5 and Odd Jobs.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's the 5th track called Working Girl.
Okay, let's have a little sample.
You got to listen to it.
I've never been to Dollywood. I'd love to go there.
Oh, it is the happiest place on earth.
Yeah?
Oh, I went about 7 or 8 years ago, and it's just the happiest place on earth.
How long did you stay there for?
I was only there for a day, but I could have stayed forever.
Right.
Everyone that works there is connected to Dolly Parton in some way.
Oh, right. Family and, right?
Like distant family, distant relatives.
Sure.
And they're all so happy to be working there. I've never met people that are so happy to have a job.
Yeah.
And they just love and idolize her so much.
She turned that town, Pigeon Forge, from basically a ghost town.
Right.
Into this thriving hub.
And it's quite remarkable when you're driving through Pigeon Forge towards Dollywood. The entire strip is now full of like tourist attractions.
Oh wow!
It's a huge booming success there.
So it's spread on from Dollywood and sort
completely.
of infected the land in a good way.
But this song, Working Girl, everyone always associates Karen from Finance with 9 to 5, which is great, and I love that. But Working Girl is the true song.
song by Judas Priest.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's a very 80s standard riff.
Yeah, exactly. And also that tempo, which you don't get a lot these days.
Exactly. It's like they found one noise when they first were creating these noises, and they're like, we're just going to go with this. We're going to run with it. We're not going to do anything to it. We're going to roll.
Yeah, this is what we're going to lock into. And also the synth sounds too on Working Girl, like that.
It doesn't change the whole song all the way through. There's no key change or nothing.
Yeah,
it just fades out at the end.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Right as it goes back into the chorus again.
Yeah, but as a drag queen, you hate it when a song fades at the end.
Oh no, I actually personally hate fade outs. Country fade outs in particular. They go back to the big part of the song and then they start quickly fading out.
Yep.
When they could have just like found a way out or just go dun 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 dun. Bang.
Boom.
Yeah, right.
End it on the fourth or the first. Just leave it alone.
Yeah, what do you do when a song fades out?
Okay, the trick is
you can just move that.
That's right. I literally thought it was a ghost.
You're not the first guest to have said that, actually. So.
Oh, all right. Now I'm getting creepy. What do I do? When artists perform a live version of the song, they can't fade it out when they're performing live. So I always find that I'll either do the live version or I'll edit the album version into the live version so it ends with a snap.
Oh, that's perfect.
And also probably a little bit of live applause, which helps.
It does help. They're like, wow, this number's going over fantastic.
Wow. Everyone in the back of the room really loves this. I should clap louder too.
Seems louder in here.
Yeah.
Already. So it was Dolly, Denim, and Diamante.
And Diamantes, yeah. Rhinestones, I guess.
Sure, yeah. Do you like the movie Rhinestone?
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Oh my God, you'll love it.
I haven't seen it.
You'll love it. And I'm so excited I got a mint condition poster.
Oh, really?
Of it. Yeah.
And you like your movie posters?
I do love my movie posters, yeah. I have to frame that one yet, but it's going to go up. It's actually an Australian poster.
Oh, wow.
There's a type of poster, Australian daybill. It's like a 3/4 of this size. Mm-hmm. And they're called, I guess, also insert posters, but that's what they're known as, Australian day bills.
Oh, sure. I think I know this. The shape you're talking about. I've seen them for music bills as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So the party was Dolly, Denim, and Diamantes, and I thought this is my opportunity to dress up as Dolly Parton.
Oh, yeah.
And in my head, I said to myself that if I was going to do it, I was going to do it properly.
Sure.
That didn't mean that I looked good. It just meant that I spent a lot of time getting the look together.
Sure.
And I just looked like a monster. So, I mean, so does everyone, but I was like a real specific sort of clown. I'll show you the photo later on.
Oh, please. Yeah, and if you can send it to me, we can post it with this. That'd
absolutely.
be great.
I favorited it on my phone because I seem to always want to reference it. It's just remarkable. I look nothing like Dolly Parton. But the main point is that I look nothing like myself. And because I used to have this beard and whatnot, when I turned up in drag, no one knew who I was.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so they said, "Who are you?" I said, "Well, I'm Karen from finance." It was the first thing that came to mind. It just rolled off my tongue. Yeah. And the party went on, and just being that different character with people not knowing who you were, I felt so crazy and so liberated.
That's amazing.
I went wild. And I remember it being, some crazy hour in the morning. I was dancing on the dining room table and someone leaned to another. I overheard them say, "Who is that?" And they said, "That's Karen from finance." And I thought, I'm going to roll with this.
Yeah,
there's something in it.
As soon as you hear the third party say something. Yeah.
I cashed in right then and there.
And how long after that did you start performing at venues?
Well, I didn't start performing for a long time because for me, being Karen was never about being like a performing drag queen. Mm-hmm. I actually didn't even realize that I was doing drag.
Oh, okay.
I saw it as a costume and nothing more than that. Yeah. I didn't associate it with being a drag performer in any way, shape, or form. So I guess that that liberation was the high that I started chasing.
Yeah.
And so I started getting dressed up and putting costumes together just to go out to club nights.
Yeah.
And I guess because I was creating this new character, Karen didn't have any friends. And so I didn't go out with friends.
Oh, wow.
I would just get dressed up and take myself out.
This
and
is great.
They would say, "Who are you?" I'd say, "I'm Karen from finance." I was like, "And I'm here alone."
Yeah, right.
It was really meta.
Yeah.
And that was how she started. And I was just obsessed. And I think I also, because I looked so tragic, the juxtaposition of saying that my name was Karen, a corporate office worker, it didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And was kind of part of the gag. So I just did that for the longest time until a friend who was I guess, an alternative drag performer. Her name's Olympia Bukkakis.
Great name.
It used to be Mummy Complex. She changed it to Olympia Bukkakis. She kind of ran the alternative drag scene in Melbourne when I was first starting out. She now lives in Berlin. She asked me to perform at her party, Pandora's Box. And I was astounded. I thought, well, why are you asking me to do this? I'm not a performer in any way, shape, or form. I work in bars. I don't do this sort of thing. But I'm interested. I'd love to give it a go. And I did. And it was a real success. It was a hoot. Everyone loved it. And from then on, nothing it hasn't stopped. I mean, here we are right now in West Hollywood talking about it 8 years later.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
So what was the scene like when you started doing the performances?
If I go back to being 18, which is when you can first start going out and drinking in Melbourne, the scene was thriving. Our city was split into two. We had the north side of the river and the south side of the river.
Yeah.
The north side is where all the cool hipster alternative kids were. The south side is where was your your West Hollywood, your Muscle Marys and your beautiful pageantry drag and all of that sort of jazz. And so I was on the north side, but was really interested in the south side. But maybe around about the age of like 20, 21, that scene really died.
Yeah.
And I moved north and then never went and saw a drag show again.
Oh, wow.
And so when I started doing drag, I was living in the north and I grew up in the alternative drag scene. So that was where it all started for me. But of course, with the success of things like Drag Race and drag just manifesting over the years, the north and south kind of no longer exist. The north side is now the popular side for drag in Melbourne. Everyone and anyone is invited. It's very diverse. It's really incredible over there. And I guess you could almost say that Karen has gone from being a north side. Excuse me.
You're getting emotional. I understand.
I forgot to swallow. She's gone from being this trashy whore into being like I would like to say like a well put together woman. Yeah. She's kind of proud of herself these days.
Yeah. We were outfits were stunning the both times we ran into each other in person.
Oh, yeah?
And it was funny when we saw each other at DragCon recently because we walked by each other. I had this thing going on where I was kind of overwhelmed by it. Every queen was there.
Everyone.
But the trouble is there's also some fans. I mean, we were in the backstage area, so there wouldn't be a confusion of fans. But I had this thing where, when you're like, I think I know them. Well, I don't know. I won't go up to them because, do you know what I mean?
Totally.
And also like everyone's getting ready to do their thing. You came out and were like, hey, Craig. And I was like, oh, hey, thanks. Because
I wasn't sure.
No, I was in like a fugue state for a little while. Do you know what I mean? I dipped in and out of that a little bit a couple times. Like I'd leave the floor and then I'd sort of be like, a little bit like Krusty the Clown when the lights go off, on The Simpsons, just like, and you don't really know what's happening.
That's what it's like backstage at things like that, True. Everyone is there putting on this face and talking to everybody they possibly can. Backstage in the green room, it's not like at a rock and roll concert where all the bandmates are together and they're drinking and it's a crazy party.
Right.
Backstage at a drag show, everyone is quiet and just kind of keeping to themselves.
Yeah, right. And slightly sort of not slouched, but slumped a little, just kind of like, ugh.
Yeah, just like a bit sad.
Yeah. And also poking around, be like, are there any of those energy bars left? Really? Where's the trail mix?
That's exactly right. I'm just where is the closest cup of tea?
Yeah, that's all really that starts to get on your mind. The second day I brought a jug of iced tea because I could not find any anywhere, which also I can't find any in Australia. I didn't know that wasn't a thing.
Iced tea?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not nearly as popular, no. You can buy it bottled from the supermarket, but it's just not a thing.
Okay, yeah, I remember seeing some Lipton stuff, but I didn't see even any unsweetened or anything. Whereas this is like the land of iced tea.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's one of the crazy differences. Also, it's like milk. I feel like you don't have milk here. Is that right?
There is milk, but almost no one drinks it.
No one understands when I ask for milk, and I don't know what to. What is half and half?
Oh, okay. So half and half is basically half milk, half cream.
Okay.
Generally, cream and coffee is not full cream. Usually, it's usually a half and half that they'll serve you. Yeah.
I've never been across that.
So, are you a milk drinker just with meals and everything?
With my tea, I like a white tea.
Milk in tea. Okay.
Milk in tea.
Yeah. Would you have a favorite like biscuit or snack that you have with tea?
Oh, no, not really.
Yeah.
Do I have a favorite snack that I have with tea? No, a chocolate biscuit, a little Tim Tam or something.
Oh, a Tim
little
Tam.
mint slice.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite Tim Tam flavor?
Yeah. Okay, so double coat is the best.
Those are fantastic.
However,
you
because they're so thick, you get less in a packet than the original.
Oh, right.
So it's better to go for original because it's the same flavor because you get more.
That's a good point.
That's the trick.
I actually had a carry-on piece of luggage that was full of Tim Tams and other snacks. I can't remember specifically which ones, but there's a lot of Cadbury variations in Australia that you cannot get here.
Yep.
It's only slightly worrying when I then unpack it and I'm like, why did I bring back all these sweets? Like I came back from Iceland recently and they're nuts for licorice there.
Yeah, right.
Chocolate covered
Iceland,
licorice.
they like licorice.
They are fanatical about it. chocolate-covered licorice. There's a pepper-coated licorice. There's a lot of licorice going on over there.
No, I'm not into licorice.
Oh, then
it's not for me.
Yeah, because I love it, and so it's also funny because I thought when I got home I was like, I'll give some of this away. No one wants it.
No one wants it. Yeah, no, I don't know. I'm not into licorice. No, I don't know anyone that is. But you have those big, anyway, we don't need to go into that.
What? I was big what?
I was doing a little, I did a little shoot for a little project last week. And one of the most fascinating things to me is always the catering table at like an independent shoot.
Oh, yeah.
Different people cater so differently depending on who it is, what the project is. Sure. I always love to see what other people think you're going to want. And there was the biggest jar of like raspberry licorice twists or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like licorice, but I dove right in because I was just so intrigued by this thing. I'd never seen anything like it.
Yeah. Twizzlers, I think, probably is what they were. Or red vines. Yeah.
Red vines, that's exactly what it was.
Did you know your teeth move as you get older? A lot of people don't. I definitely did not. So, what does one do when interested in some preventative action? I mean, who wants to spend all that money and time on braces? Well, guess what? Now you have another option, and that option is Candid, the clear alternative to braces. Candid has an experienced orthodontist who is licensed in your state to create a treatment plan for you. They create a 3D preview of how your teeth will look after your treatments are done. There's no hassle of going to an orthodontist's office, and Candid costs 65% less than braces. Plus, for every aligner that's purchased, Candid donates $25 to Smile Train. Smile Train brings safe, 100% free cleft lip and palate treatments to children around the globe. So, if you want to get straighter, brighter teeth in an average of just 6 months, well, go learn more at candidco.com/WV and use code WV to get $75 off. That's candidco.com/WV and use code WV to get $75 off. All right, so I just told you about some product that you should go buy, but now here's a little bit of information about a show you should go see in LA. Featuring Michael DeBar, who happens to be here.
Michael DeBar and the Mistakes, which is the best name ever of any group in the history of rock and roll. And
You found the best name, yeah.
I found the best name and make the most mistakes. I mean, the thing about us is we play very loud and we make a lot of mistakes.
What's no mistake is a terrific show that's happening now. When is it? Yeah.
Thank you. It's going to be August 28th at the Redwood Bar, which is a great club down there, DTLA, downtown Los Angeles. Dirty Sweet Rock and Roll Club, August 28th, the Redwood Bar. Come and join us.
Who doesn't love a true crime podcast? Well, guess what? There's a new one from the Parcast Network, and it's a daily show. Today in True Crime, it's the new podcast that takes you back to the biggest events in true crime that happened each day in history. Whether the crime is infamous or just plain interesting, there's a crime story for every day of the year. For instance, on August 31st, 1888, Jack the Ripper committed his first murder. On October 3rd, 1995, O.J. Simpson was acquitted. On November 19th, 2017, cult leader Charles Manson died. And there's so many more. Actually, as we mentioned, one for every day of the year. And now, with Parcast's first daily true crime podcast, which, by the way, is called Today in True Crime, you no longer have to wait a week or sometimes longer to get your true crime fix. With new episodes each and every day, you'll never run out of true crime content again. Crime never takes a day off, and now neither does Parcast. Follow Today in True Crime for free on Spotify or anywhere you listen to podcasts. What was the first year you did DragCon?
Oh, it was 2 years ago. So we've just closed out my third DragCon.
Your association with World of Wonder had an interesting start, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. It really did. One of the first things I ever did was I think I could be wrong, and I would love to be. I'd love to be corrected if I am wrong. But I'm pretty sure I was the first person in Australia to do a drag race screening party that was open to the public.
Sure.
It started in my backyard. Mm-hmm. We lived in a small townhouse in Carlton in the northern suburbs of Melbourne. And so we had like a garage door that we'd open up from our backyard that led into the laneway. And we opened that up and hung a bed sheet over the neighbor's fence, put out a projector and like a guitar amp, and played the first episode of season 6, it was.
Okay.
And made a public Facebook event and invited anyone to come and join us. And we had about 40 people turn up. Mm-hmm. Most were friends, but there were a couple of people that we didn't know that thought they were coming to a bar. Our house was called The Trough.
Okay.
We nicknamed it The Trough because the housemates that lived there. We would just resembled nothing more than pigs playing in mud. trashy kids that we were. And so people would turn up to the trough, and we made so many friends just that first night.
The show really does bring people together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think what's very important to point out is that in Australia, we didn't have Drag Race on any of the networks.
Right.
It aired on a channel called Lifestyle, I think, on one of our cable networks, Foxtel, but it aired 6 weeks late.
Oh, great.
And no one's interested in that. So everyone was torrenting it. Everyone was downloading it illegally. It was just great to project it and, celebrate it with people.
Yeah.
And so this first night, there were 40 people there. It just grew and grew and grew and turned into this huge piss up on a Tuesday night at our house. Until the finale of season 6, there were so many people coming to our house. Also, I should say that it was a dress-up party.
Oh,
and so I set a different theme and gave away a shit prize to whoever came best dressed on the night. And it's a Tuesday night in drag in Carlton in someone's backyard. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But the finale was so big that I booked out the free function room at the Irish pub on the corner of my street.
Yeah.
And we had 200 people turn up.
Wow.
And they were all in like terrible, trashy drag. And we played all these games and got really, really drunk and watched the episode. And it was just one of the most magical like community nights ever.
Yeah.
So much so that we did it at the pub every night for the next season, on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the beginning of season 8, I got sent a cease and desist letter from the cable company telling me to stop because this event just got so big. There were hundreds of people coming every week.
Yeah.
And so I wrote back to them and I politely said, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to cause any anguish. We'll take the event down and we'll stop doing it. I emailed everyone privately and said, give it 2 weeks to cool down and then come back. I'm just not going to do it on Facebook anymore.
Yeah.
And so we carried on, but quietly. And then they announced after season 8 All Stars 2, and I thought, actually, I've had enough. This is crazy. Like, they've destroyed this amazing community event that we were having.
Right.
And if it was up to date on Foxtel, we'd pay for it.
Yeah.
But it was just not an option. So I wrote to Foxtel, which was the cable company, and complained. And I did it in an open letter. I sent it to World of Wonder as well.
Mm-hmm.
And people got behind it. I think even some of the I know Detox shared it. It became this huge thing and blew up all across Australia. I got interviewed on the radio stations.
Mm-hmm.
All of the blogs did write-ups. And Foxtel got back in touch with me very quickly and tried to silence me immediately and said, we're going to look into this. World of Wonder got in touch. I also heard from a distribution company in London, which I think were the international distributors for the show.
Okay.
And what was interesting is that these 3 companies were obviously not communicating with each other very well because no one knew whose fault it was.
Right.
And so it caused the pot to stir, I guess. And in the end, what happened is that we realized that it was someone's fault. Foxtel lost the rights to Drag Race, and now another, like similar to Netflix, that we call it Stan in Australia, they got the rights, and All Stars 2 was finally aired when it launched, up to date with the US. And so people were very grateful.
Certainly, yeah.
And I was very well praised.
And also you changed the policy, basically.
Changed the policy, yeah. But you know what?
And by the way, please enjoy it.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
I get too excited. I'm really going through it. I'm glad there's a second can in the fridge. Yeah, what happened with All Stars 2 though? I think that was the first season to air on a weekend night, like I think it was a Thursday it aired.
Okay.
So in Australia, that's going to be Friday night.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Because you guys are in the future.
We're in the future. We're 17 hours ahead of you. It's really crazy. So All Stars aired on a Thursday night, which meant that the midweek screening parties were now no longer. We were having Friday night, like watch Drag Race before the club kind of thing. But now because Drag Race was so popular, people weren't coming to the club on a Friday night because they'd rather stay home and watch the show.
Yeah.
And it was just it was kind of the end of that fun period for me, for us, at least back home. It was the best season yet, but it wasn't fun anymore. Yeah. I lost that edge, that party community vibe that went along with it that was so special for us.
And have you been enjoying the show since?
I still enjoy it.
Yeah, of
I love
course,
the show. Yeah. I watch it every week. I love it.
Yeah.
Again, we're in the future, so it comes out at like midday on a Saturday for us. So
that's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, for me, it's always like wake up from the hangover, get some Uber Eats, watch Drag Race with my partner Stuart, and then get ready for the Saturday night shows.
Perfect. It's a perfect.
And I love it.
Yeah. So your partner Stuart, how long have you been together?
We've been together for almost 4 years.
Mm-hmm. Where'd you meet?
We actually met at the pub that I used to work at before I was doing drag. It's like a rock and roll bar in Melbourne.
Oh, cool.
It's like a cool, like sort of, actually it's like an Americana bar downstairs, and then we have a live music venue upstairs. It's a funny story. I used to do the season 8 Drag Race screenings at this pub.
Okay, yeah.
But before that, when we met, I just quit my job there. And they had a big band from the US coming over and touring, and they said, we need you back. We need extra staff.
Yeah.
You don't have to really work. You just have to pour beers. You can get wasted. It'll be a party. Saturday night, we'll have a great time.
Yeah.
My partner Stuart he's a fashion stylist, and he had some big fashion festival that had just finished. And so he came in for knockoffs. I was wasted behind the bar. He was wasted on the other side of the bar. I think I was throwing free drinks his way, and he was giving me the eye. And then I eventually said something like, well, he'd just moved house. And I said, great, well, I'm going to go home now. And he said, oh, it's such a shame that my new house, there's construction going on next door. I can never sleep properly. I said, oh, well, do you want to sleep at my house?
I would hate for you to have an interrupted night of sleep. I mean,
my gosh.
I'm just being kind here. I just want to, I'm so benevolent of you.
So it was so lovely, so offering. And we've been together ever since.
Oh, that's lovely.
It is cute, yeah.
Does he ever travel with you to on tour?
Yeah, he's here at the moment, actually. We've always done DragCon together.
Oh, that's great.
He comes and helps out in the booth. So anyone that's been to my booth would have had their photo taken by the lovely Stuart.
I went to the Mooth, which is very exclusive.
The Mooth. Yeah. It's an exclusive booth behind the Kid Zone.
I remember when I was looking at the schedule or trying to find the schedule, I kept seeing Kid Zone, but it didn't register with me. I was just like, as if it was like another part of the shopping mall. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, right. Because there's a bunch of drag fans.
There's a lot of children at DragCon. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I never went to the Kid Zone at DragCon, so I've never seen if it's used, but I guess it must be.
Yeah, I think it's just a holding tank, right? Yeah,
a distraction.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, there's Kid Zone. That should be fun. And then the doors close. It's like the jail doors slam.
I think the Kid Zone this year was right next to Gia Gunn's booth, which makes sense. You know,
milk and cookies. You know,
exactly. They just go hand in hand.
How easy is it for you to visit and say hello to everyone at DragCon? Because I was sort of overwhelmed, but again, it was my first time. So I'm curious as to how it works for you.
My intentions of coming to DragCon are not really to visit. So I certainly try and get around and see the people that I'm close with.
And by the way, Tammy Brown says hello.
Oh,
she was on the show yesterday.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
What an angel.
Yeah, she sends her love. Yeah, she was fabulous. Yeah.
She's an absolute angel. I love her to pieces. But yeah, I get around and I try and see who I can. But otherwise, I mean, it's just near impossible. It's not really a good networking position for the queens to go and see each other.
But
it's so
even
difficult.
just to say hello to friends and everything, it seemed like it would be rather daunting.
It is. Yeah. And there's never like a good time to do it. You know, like even if you do find the opportunity to go and see a friend, they've got 400 people lining up for them who've been waiting 5 hours.
Yeah.
And so you taking 30 seconds is like, you just feel bad. I'm used to seeing the meet and greets back home, which are really never any longer than an hour. And maybe they're like 100, 150 people max.
Yeah.
And the fans get so excited about the meet and greet. And they always, I mean, the queens are always telling stories about the fans telling them crazy stories when they do it. And they're so frantic and nervous about their 30 seconds that they get with their favorite queen.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what it must be like when they've been waiting 5 hours.
I know. And, for the panel, panel, there was people waiting from 6 in the morning.
Wow.
I know. I couldn't believe it because a few of us went down and thought, oh, okay, so maybe, with the talent pass, we can pop in the back and just, check it out a bit.
Yeah.
But they were like, no. And then they pointed over and if anyone left, they had a standby line. And the standby line was still there even towards the end of the panel, and that's the 1,500 seat hall.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible, isn't it?
It really is.
So yeah, these fans that are waiting since 6 in the morning, if they have the opportunity to meet and chat to this person this idol that they've been waiting to see, they must be I would be crazy.
Right, exactly.
I couldn't imagine.
And from all over the world too. Mm-hmm. There was a huge Australian contingent.
There were a lot of Aussies there this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think there always are. I always feel like I see a lot of Aussies there when I've been there, but this year there were a lot of Aussies.
And I find also Australians travel more than Americans in general.
Yeah, well, everyone always complains that Australia is so far away, and it is. But when you live in Australia and everything is so far away, you have no choice but to travel if you want to see or do anything.
Sure.
And so I think it's a lot less of a deal for us to come to the States than it is for maybe someone from the States to go to Australia. It's just something that you have to accept and do. And we love to get out.
Yeah.
We love to travel. I mean, we live in this giant country with these tiny cities. We're desperate to get out and find out what else is out there.
And it's quite a distance between the cities, right?
Yeah. I mean, between, say, like the East Coast, Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, it's about like a 10-hour drive between the two, I think, which is like an hour flight between each.
Sure.
And then, of course, is Perth, which is 4 or 5 hours on the other side of the country. And in the middle of that is virtually nothing. You got cities like Darwin, Alice Springs, Broome, which are all beautiful, beautiful places, but they're surrounded by desert.
Okay.
And it's spectacular. It's absolutely breathtaking. I recommend anyone that's going to Australia to get into the outback and see it. It's just actually not even anyone that's traveling to Australia. I recommend to Aussies to go out and see it. We're so quick to jump on an airplane and fly 15 hours to Los Angeles, but we won't drive 4 or 5 hours into the outback. And it's one of the most breathtaking things in the world.
You've opened for a lot of folks on tour in Australia?
Yeah, I've been working with the touring company there for about 5 years, I think. And
is that ITD?
ITD, yeah, in the dark events. They're the prominent touring company for all the girls from Drag Race. And so I've been opening shows in Melbourne for about 5 years, and I've been touring like their national tours for about 3 years. Which is just so much fun, you know, for a little drag queen from Australia to get to perform to crowds of up to like 2,500 people. Is crazy. It's crazy, and you know, you get to. I guess I've built up this weird kind of like cult, like niche following by doing that because people associate me with this huge show, RuPaul's Drag Race, which I've got nothing to do with at all. But I'm just this cult niche figure that pops up at the start of every show, and the fans have responded really well to it, and I just love it so much.
Yeah,
it's so fun, and it's so fun to meet the girls and tour Down Under. Yeah. And everyone's so different. You know, I like, it's just like walking in here, you know, do I bring the bottle of champagne or do I not? I always arrive with my little suitcases and I'll be polite and friendly and I suss them out. Like, are we going to party or are we going to be very professional? And if we're going to be professional, I'll be professional. I can be professional like the best of them.
Well, you know, as the head of the finance department,
you've got to be.
You have to be. There's people relying on you.
But if you get invited to Friday night drinks with the girls,
a whole different situation.
You can be out all weekend.
Yeah, you got to be a professional partier. So what was your take when you walked into
this apartment?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful apartment.
Oh, thank you.
You're obviously completely obsessed with film and music, which I love.
I was curious about the professional or party ratio.
Oh, okay, sure. Well, this is definitely like a really good kick-ons apartment.
Yes, I agree. Thank you.
I presume you've got beautiful black leather furniture and the room is blacked out, but I presume that's for sound.
Well, it's also for, you know, sometimes
sure.
You don't like the sun creeping in and getting on your nerves.
Actually, it kind of reminds me of Lance's apartment in New York City.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I'm going back to New York at the end of June for the 50th anniversary of Pride.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm going to be visiting Lance there.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
He's got a beautiful apartment. It reminds me of that. It's very, very inviting, welcoming, and comfortable.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thanks very much.
Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, it's been, pardon me. Well, it's been lovely.
We're both coffee and choky today.
Yeah, exactly. That'll be the name of the episode.
Coffee and choky.
Welcome to Coffee and Choky, everybody.
With Karen and Craig.
Well, I'm so happy that you could come here and that we could arrange it and everything. And you fly out tomorrow?
No, I fly out on Thursday to Las Vegas
great.
For 4 days, and then I fly back to Melbourne.
Oh, that's fantastic. It's good you're getting a little bit of another visit in.
Yeah.
And also that you're not going straight back after the con because you need a little bit of...
No, well, you'd be crazy, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would. And the jet lag would just be like next level.
Yeah, if you flew in for 4 days and then home, you'd be really badly jet lagged. But the greatest thing about, for me, touring and traveling... I try and mix the two together. So if ever I get the opportunity to go overseas or go anywhere, really, I try and add a vacation onto the end of it where possible because then it kind of pays for itself. It's just crazy to miss those opportunities.
How do you decorate your place?
Our apartment is really cute. It's kind of like it's definitely got like that modern vintage vibe. It's very bright. It's very like poppy and colorful as well. We've got 2 beautiful big standard poodles that live in the apartment as well.
Oh, lovely. What are their names?
Peter and Susan. They're 3 and 2. And they're just adorable. Yeah, we've got a really cute little apartment, but very, very bright. Very bright and sun-filled. It's lovely.
That's nice, yeah.
And Karen is kept in a room all to her own, and she's completely banned from existing anywhere else in the house.
I think that's the smartest move, right? Like Trixie has the garage that is the drag area. And I remember at Katya's old place, it had all been intermixed. And then once you mix that stuff in all the rooms, there's no governor on it.
Tell me, because I'm interested. I feel like rent is a lot higher in the US, especially in the bigger cities. And so therefore, people are going to be affording much smaller places.
Right.
Some people have no choice but to intermix the drag with
That's very true.
With the house. So I definitely understand that. But where possible, the more that you can separate the two, the healthier your lifestyle is going to be.
Now, what about that just in terms of just your life?
How do I feel in my life about separating the two?
Yeah, about having the character and then not being in character.
I'm pretty strict about it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty strict about it because I really enjoy being in character.
Sure. Well, that liberation you mentioned before, right?
It still exists.
Yeah.
It still exists. Like, I love drag so much. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. I still went, I don't need to get paid to do a gig. It's my full-time job as well, so I need to get paid to do a gig.
Sure.
But I've got to work out where to draw the line, but I will still get in drag and go out for fun.
Oh, wow.
I love it.
Yeah.
But only in the right way, for the right reasons. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
like, I don't know what to do tonight. I know, I'll just throw this on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or I'm invited to this party. I could go and have an okay time, or if I sent Karen instead, she would have a great time.
Right.
But I'm still very strict about it because I'm very scared of losing that. I'm very scared of not enjoying it anymore. And gosh, what am I going to do then?
So does that also mean that you limit the amount of gigs, or not limit, but you're very sort of judicious about how often you're working as Karen?
I struggle with that because she is also my job.
Sure.
I find it difficult to turn down work, especially if it's paying well. I have definitely done many a gig that I'm maybe, if I say not proud of, that sounds really drastic, but I'm going to roll with it for lack of a better word.
Sure.
I've done many.
How about ashamed of?
That I'm ashamed of. Wow, that doesn't make me feel much better either.
Deeply regret.
I've definitely done a lot of gigs that I'm I can't say that I'm not proud of putting my name to. Okay, I'll advertise my involvement as little as possible,
right?
Just to get by. But that's what pays the bills.
Of course.
We haven't all been on major international TV shows, and if we want to work full time like this, it's a really niche market to get into and be a part of.
Yeah.
You've got to do what you've got to do, and sometimes looking at it as work is the best way to do that.
Sure.
But you do have to be very careful, and being a good negotiator is part of that, because I feel like if you're getting paid enough, it kind of like makes it a little bit better.
Yeah, it takes the sting out of it.
It takes the sting out. I mean, it's still gross. It's still really gross, but what can you do,
What can you do?
What can you do?
And plus, everyone, with every job, there's certain things you do because you're just like, hey, this is the money.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I used to clean toilets, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all.
You're not proud of it, but you'll do it. Because it's what pays the bills.
And if anyone ever tried to give you attitude, or anyone tried to give anyone attitude about doing something for money, they can go fuck themselves.
That's exactly right. You know what I can't do is like a hen's party. What do
What's
you call
a hen's party?
Bachelorette party.
Oh my God. Okay.
They're such big money makers back home, and I'm so impressed with all the girls that do it. But I've tried it. Yeah. I've tried to do a couple, but I can't bring myself to do it. I get in drag for midday on a Saturday afternoon and drive out to the suburbs to someone's house.
Yeah. And
no way.
There's also that risk too, because of someone being really into drag, but not thinking that maybe everyone else isn't. I remember Brian telling a story about that, and it was a situation like that, some private place. So there's not even the sort of comfort of the bar where you usually perform, and there's a contingent in there. That's fine, because at least, there's the regular patrons. I remember going to Jacques in Boston where Brian would perform, and on one night of the week, maybe Saturdays.
Is this Jacques Cabaret that I've heard about?
Yes, indeed.
Amazing.
Jacques' famous cabaret.
All right.
Yes. And if you're ever in Boston, do check it out. And there would be like half the room, the bachelorettes, And it was a different vibe, and it was interesting to observe.
Yeah, right. Maybe I'm tainted because I think it was like the first booking that I ever had outside of a bar was a box party, which is a bachelor party.
Oh, okay.
And it was for a gay man who was getting married to another gay man. But I was told in the lead up that one of the gay men was super into partying and the other was not. And the one that was not was away on business. So the friends were organizing this box party for the one that was into partying while he was away.
Yeah.
While they could get away with it.
Sure.
And I was also told that he loved drag. And so they were having a drag themed bachelor party, box party, at their house. And they'd hired makeup artists who were going to put everyone into drag. They'd got all these costumes and they wanted me to come and perform.
Yeah.
I thought, this sounds fabulous. I'll do it. And so I turned up at this beautiful house. It was a mansion. It was huge. And they hid me in a room until it was time to come out. And I came out and performed to a group of people who were so high on coke, they couldn't even see that I was there.
Oh, no.
And then I announced what was going on. And they continued to get in drag for the next 3 hours, wasted.
Yeah.
Well, I literally hid in a back room, like away from everybody. I was so scared. These people were out of control. And then when I came out to try and perform again, they like whisked me away and stopped my number because the guy whose box party it was so like upset that there was a drag queen there and that he was no longer the center of attention.
Oh my God.
That he got angry.
Wow.
And you know when people are like cocaine angry?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's not cute.
It is not.
And so I was hiding in like the spare room in this house. I was there for hours.
Because let me guess, they whisked you away and then promptly forgot about you?
Oh, of course. Yeah. And the worst part was that I'd organized like the VIP section of the drag bar that I worked at later that night for them to, we were all supposed to go there together.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so I had to kind of like call ahead and be like, look, don't let them in. I'm going to travel with them. Let me in, but don't let them in.
Right.
It was just really scary.
It sounds scary. Yeah, that kind of cocaine frenzy at this, especially an event that Bucks party, right?
Yeah.
So like a Bucks party, which is essentially like the New Year's Eve for these folks, right? We're going to have fun, goddammit. There's almost like an aggressive edge to it.
Yeah. You're right. It's like the New Year's Eve. Bucks parties, bachelorette parties, and New Year's are like primarily for people that don't party on any other night of the year.
Right. And they set this unreasonable expectation.
Unreasonable. And they do it so weirdly.
Yeah. And overly intensely. Yeah. It'd be funny. Wouldn't it be great to have like a camera crew on them like the day after or like 2 days after? I
love to observe it from a distance, but I did not want to be involved.
No, certainly not. Or hiding in the spare room during it.
No way.
We talked about Dolly. Who are some other artists that you enjoy?
Well, actually, you know, away from the campery of it all, my favorite band is a Californian band called Dawes. They're an alternative indie folk rock country band. Yeah. I guess they've had like five records out so far, and they're really some of the greatest storytellers I've ever come across. Taylor Goldsmith, I think, is the front man's name, and he's just the most beautiful storyteller. Actually, I'm pretty sure that he recently got married to Mandy Moore.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So he's moving up the chain there in the celebrity ranks.
And she is too, based on what she's revealed about Ryan Adams.
Oh, what's the story there?
Apparently, he was just a full-on narcissist, controlling nightmare, and she was supposed to record an album with him.
Okay.
And then he kept delaying it, or it just never happened. She didn't put an album out for years. She was on Mark Maron show recently, in addition to some other outlets, and she was revealing that it was just a not very happy time, and she sort of lost her sense of self.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, it looks like she's
how dark.
Yeah.
How dark.
Yeah, exactly. And he's gotten into a bit of hot water lately too, about being predatory with younger female musicians. Yuck. But anyway, back to Coffee and Chokey.
Yeah, Dawes are my favorite. Again, it's like, I guess it's all about separating the lives of Karen and Richard. Is my other name. Hi, Richard. Nice to meet you.
Oh, Richard. Craig, nice to meet you.
Yeah, and I feel listening to a band like Dawes really separates me from like that camp fabulous world of Karen as well.
Okay, sure.
Which is really great, and I've always been a fan of rock and roll for a long time.
Yeah.
Since I grew up, actually, like music for me was my escapism when I was younger. I had a rocky teenage life, like every other gay person in the world, I guess.
Yeah.
With family, and music for me was my escape. There was this band from my God, we're going to go right back now. There's a band from Perth in Western Australia called Birdy.
Oh, I haven't heard of them.
They were like pop central, but I loved them. I was obsessed. Actually, I've got like their symbol tattooed on my back.
Really?
I used to travel around and see them all over the place, even once in New York City. Wow. I think I've seen them live like 54, 55 times or something like that.
I love that.
I loved it. And they were my escape, and I was such a groupie. Like I was a gross groupie.
Stage door Johnny.
Yeah, and I feel like I've actually learned like a lot about how to be professional in this drag industry and how to behave around celebrities and stars and touring artists and all that sort of jazz by what I used to do when I was younger. And it's one of the great things that I can see myself in like young fans nowadays of drag. Even by being a groupie of this band, I learned what to do and what not to do, I guess. But they were just they were an incredible pop artist from Australia that I just used to escape.
Yeah. Well, and so I imagine when you see someone being a little extra awkward in a situation like that where you're the performer, you have a little sympathy for them because you're like, I know.
I have the sympathy. Yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they might not have anything worth telling you or anything to say, but just them being there with you is so exciting for them because they're escaping something else.
Sure, exactly. Escape's really important, particularly when you're having tough times.
Oh yeah,
as a kid, which I did as well, and with school and all that stuff, the kids. So you said you had a rocky relationship with your family.
Yeah, I grew up. My mum had breast cancer when I was growing up. I think she got it when I was 3 or 4 years old.
Oh wow!
And it kind of like came and went for like 10 years or so.
Yeah.
And she eventually died when I was 14. But then I had a really nasty relationship with my dad after that, where he just like his way of dealing with it was moving on straight away to the Queen of the Witches.
Sure. Yeah.
And so my teenage grieving years were spent like trying to deal with this monster. So, and I had 2 younger brothers to kind of take care of as well. But when I turned 18, I just got out of there.
Wow.
And music was the transport, I guess.
Mm-hmm. What was the first band that you remember being, besides Little Birdy, like just the first time you were really into music as a little kid? Oh,
I can tell you right now. Well, the first time I was into music, the first EP I ever had was Tomorrow by Silverchair.
Okay, yeah.
And they were the first big band that I really got into.
Mm-hmm.
By the time their 4th album, Diorama, had came out, that was 2002. Oh God, I don't know the years exactly, but I feel like Diorama came out when my mum died, and so that was my number 1 album.
Yeah,
and they were my first addiction. I used to turn all the lights off, close the curtains, and listen to like Anna's song and cry.
We all need those songs. Yeah,
yeah. They remain so special. Like they can be so dark at one stage in your life, but they're just so special later on. And I mean, I look back and laugh a little bit, but I still really love the music.
Yeah.
Sorry,
let me know. No. I wanted to give you a moment of pause because I have this habit sometimes of asking a question immediately and then not giving the person the time to enjoy their beverage.
Oh, it's like when the server comes over to your table at a restaurant and says, "How is everything?" And he's like, "I just took my first bite. Give me a break."
Right. Well, it looks too hot to put in my mouth right now, so I'm going to wait a second. Yeah. So when you moved out at 18, where did you go to?
Well, I mean, I just moved out of house. I stayed in Melbourne and moved into the city, and kind of just. I didn't cut ties with the family, but I just like stayed away from them as much as possible.
Yeah.
And I lived in the city and worked in bars for years and years and years. The only time I've really ever lived away from the city that I grew up in was just before I started doing drag. Everyone that I was friends with, everyone that I was working with, they all took their overseas trip where they go and find themselves.
Okay.
They all seem to be saving all this money and having all this money to be able to go and take these huge trips. I was working with them and had no money at all. I had nothing sent to my name. I could never save. I was awful. So I sold everything that I had and got rid of my lease. Everything that didn't fit in my car. And I drove from the east coast to the west coast of Australia. And I moved to a little town called Shark Bay, which was 12 hours north of the closest city. It was 150 kilometers off the highway, had a population of 600 people, and only one road in and out of town. No traffic lights.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really isolated. And
why did you pick there?
Well, it was called Shark Bay. I love sharks. Jaws is my favorite movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I love sharks. I'd seen all of Australia because I used to fly around and chase little Birdy around the band.
Oh, right.
So I'd been everywhere except
Yeah.
the northwest coast of Australia.
Yeah.
So I thought I'm gonna go and live in the middle of nowhere for a while. I'm gonna get a dog. I'm gonna get a 4-wheel drive. I'm gonna camp up the coast.
Yeah. Different kind of camping, folks. It's
Different kind of camping.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to live there and, I don't know, I'll work something out. I looked at the map and there was a place called Shark Bay. So I thought, great, I'm going to drive there. It was about 7,000 kilometers away. I don't know how far that is in miles. It took me weeks to get there.
Yeah.
And I had no money on the way there. I remember being halfway across the Nullarbor, which is like the longest straight road in the world.
Okay.
It's in the middle of the desert, and I ran out of petrol. So I had to pull over and like camp about 2 kilometers away from the local roadhouse for 3 days until I got paid by my last job to be able to afford petrol again. You know, crazy, ghetto sort of homeless kind of stuff. And
with little like Hills Have Eyes mixed in there.
Oh, well, that was what I was scared of. Yeah. But I eventually got to Shark Bay. I lived there for about 8 months, I think. And I did all the above. I got the 4-wheel drive. I got the dog. I went camping and snorkeling and whatnot. And but felt like I enjoyed the escapism, but I was scared that I was missing out on the world.
Sure.
I felt like I was at the world's end.
Yeah.
And so I moved back to Melbourne, and it was literally like the first week that I moved home that I did that thing where I went and bought the dress and went to the party. Yeah. Drag started for me like the second that I got home from Shark Bay.
That's amazing. And how long total were you in Shark Bay?
I was only there for 8 months.
That's a long time,
But it's a long time when you're in the middle of nowhere.
Especially at that age, too. And yeah, being basically alone. What were the people like that were there?
Okay, so I was friends with prostitutes. I was friends with pedophiles. I was friends with like absolute criminals who were in and out of jail for the most rotten things I could possibly tell you. But it was the sort of town where the community was so small and everyone that lived there was escaping something.
Oh, okay.
That you became friends with them kind of no matter what.
Sure.
Like you accepted, it wasn't that you accepted who they were, you ignored who they were.
Right.
And you celebrated what you had.
Right, right.
And so it was really like, I felt like I made some really close friends there, but I don't speak to any of them anymore.
Sure.
Once I got out of there, I was out of there.
It's a situational
reality, very situational,
yeah.
Very situational. And there were some dark things going on in that city, in that town, I should say. Dark things, but also really beautiful things as well.
Right.
There were a lot of people there that just couldn't deal with the city or deal with like community or anything like that.
Yeah.
And
Society at large. Kind of.
Exactly. They find solace in being alone.
Yeah.
And there's something beautiful in that. And when you accept that that's how they are, you're actually able to make friends with these people.
Yeah.
And it was just really eye-opening.
Do you think that it had any effect on your socializing when you went back to the big city?
I think that it affected me for sure in the sense that I consider myself to be a very extroverted person.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy company all the time and I really like to be out all the time. But there's also a complete other side to me that loves to be alone. Mm-hmm. And I think that love of being alone is what helped me get through my teenage years.
Sure.
Because I learned how to be alone in those years. And when I got to Shark Bay and saw these people and met and networked with them, I realized that that's not what I wanted for my life.
Yeah.
And so coming back to the city, I knew, I guess subconsciously, I knew that I needed to find a way to live extrovertedly.
Exactly. Right. Because,
Well, I've never spoken about that before in that context. And that's really interesting to me. I never realized that before. Yeah.
Oh, I'm really pleased to hear that.
We had a moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Do we need a second VB?
I think so.
Well, we can take a pee break.
Let's take a pee break.
Perfect.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, well, hello there. We are the Femme Dolls. I'm Cherry Horne.
And I'm Sophie Monroe. Dominatrix bitches, home alone and ready to double down on making you our naughty slave.
We love to hear all of your kinky secrets. Oh, don't be shy. Come on, you can tell us anything. Are you gay?
'Cause we just always like to know if a guy is gay.
It feels so good to confess, doesn't it?
Isn't everyone a little gay?
Oh, so gay.
Shall I do the honors?
Yeah, I think you should. It's only right as you're the guest.
Are you ready?
That's that refreshing sound.
Wow. What do they call it? ASMR?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we do like to dabble in ASMR. Usually it's in the form of Brian having a snack. Or,
And today it's Karen having a beer.
Yes, exactly. But we like to do the full spectrum.
There's
of
something
sounds.
so erotic about the opening of that. It's like that the way they say anticipation, the Rocky Horror Show. You know, with the click and then you just wait for the second.
Yeah, that pause. Yeah, it's almost like a tease in denial with sound. Yeah. Are you a big fan of the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
I am.
Same here.
Yeah, I'm a fan of it. I think I saw it for the first time when I was maybe 20 or 21.
Yeah.
And however, my mum got me a copy of it.
Oh, wow.
Which, I mean, if she died when I was 14, that I have to have been like 12 or 13 max.
Yeah, sure.
And I don't know why. Well, her best friend, who I'm really close with, who's kind of stepped in and she's taken over like that motherly role.
Yeah.
She says that my mum always knew I was a gay.
Uh-huh.
I don't believe that for a second.
Really?
I don't think I had any telltale signs, but I'm sure of it. But I just think it makes me, it's kind of like the number one thing that makes me intrigued to know what my mum would be like if she was still around and what our relationship would be like.
Sure.
Because if she's giving me something like the Rocky Horror Show
right
at 12,
yeah,
you know, what kind of mum was she going to be when I started doing drag?
Right.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Stage mum, show mum.
Right, exactly. Hair's not big enough. You got it. Yeah.
She was not the sort of person that was like totally down and cool with stuff like that. I mean, she was cool, but she wasn't a cool mum.
She wasn't like blasting it on the stereo when you were walking around as a kid.
No, she was listening it to ABBA and Celine Dion, you know, like the other mums. But yeah, I love the Rocky Horror Show. So I think that I remember when I first watched it, I had that in mind. I thought, why was she introducing me to this? I love it. I'm obsessed with it, of course.
Same here. It never gets old.
The Rocky Horror Picture Show never gets old.
Right.
It has toured in Melbourne, Australia so many times, and I'm obsessed and I see it every time. However, there was this guy, an actor called Craig McLachlan, who was famously in Neighbours in Australia.
Okay. Yeah. Which is also, that show's bigger in the UK, right?
Bigger in the UK than it is at home.
Right.
Yeah. So Craig McLachlan came on board as Frankenfurter. And he was the worst Frankenfurter you've ever seen in your life. He is like...
I'm sure I can pull a clip. I'm sure there's something online of him. Yeah.
Oh, of course you can. He's the straightest person you could ever find to play Frankenfurter. I don't want to say so much so.
But you can.
So much so. No, that's really downing straight people. I shouldn't say that at all. He also recently got pulled from the role because there were sexual abuse cases filed against him by the other actresses.
Oh my God.
In fact, there's the set that they had in the Australian production of when he jumps in bed with Janet.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Was in this Brad and Janet, I guess. The bed was like a 2D bed that was vertical. It was up.
Oh, okay.
And so they kind of stood in the bed, you know, and they had a doona in front of them. And she filed charges against him for touching her inappropriately under that doona while they were performing in a circumstance where she couldn't do anything about it because she was on stage.
Right. What
Yuck.
a creep. That is so loathsome, especially in a show that's birthed from the notion of freedom and freedom from persecution for being yourself and all that. What a low life.
And I always ask myself, why was he cast in this role? But I know why. He was cast to bring in that straight suburban audience,
right?
Who are all there for the wrong reasons. And so the Rocky Horror Show, not necessarily the movie, but the Rocky Horror Show, for me has really been tainted. I would love to see it done properly again.
Yeah, that is a shame.
Yeah.
But one good thing that it's been touring so often that means that Richard O'Brien makes the money he should have made from the movie, which he doesn't.
Exactly. Yeah. It's touring. I mean, I think it's constantly touring in Australia, so I hope he's getting something from it. Yeah.
Okay. And he lives in New Zealand. I think.
Really?
Yeah, he's originally from New Zealand, and now he's back there. And I think he got remarried a couple of years ago.
Oh, there you go.
So what are some other films like Rocky Horror that have had a big impact on you?
Of course, The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Certainly.
Iconic, remarkable, incredible. Yeah. It was one of the first and only things that any of us would ever see on television.
And that did a lot too to, I guess, raise awareness of drag.
Yeah. From accounts of other drag queens who have obviously been around a lot longer than I have back home, Priscilla had the effect on the Australian queer and drag communities the same as what RuPaul has had
Okay, sure.
With Drag Race.
Yeah.
There was the resurgence in the bars. Everyone wanted the drag queens. And it really cemented like the iconic Australian way of drag in the international spectrum.
Yeah.
So Priscilla is incredible. Muriel's Wedding.
Oh, sure.
An amazing Australian film.
Shamefully, I have not seen that yet.
Oh, you haven't seen Muriel's Wedding?
And I love ABBA. And yeah, I know. You know what? I need to see that. I just finally saw The Thing, which I couldn't believe I hadn't seen. So now that's the next on the I can't believe I haven't seen it yet list.
Okay, sure. Yeah, it's a huge list, isn't it? Everyone's got a huge list.
It's a massive
I'm sure
list.
my list is longer than yours. Muriel's Wedding is great. Actually, they just did. They just made a musical, like a live stage musical of Muriel's Wedding, which is incredible. And Kate Miller-Heidke did all the music for, who was just our Australian entrant into Eurovision this year.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Who did incredibly well. Maybe another less known Australian film that I really loved growing up with is a film called Amy, also with Rachel Griffiths, who was in Muriel's Wedding.
Okay.
And what's his name? Ben Mendelsohn? Who I think he's made it kind of in the big time over here in Hollywood. I think he was in like the last couple of Star Wars movies.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, when he was much younger, he did this movie with Rachel Griffiths called Amy, which is about a young girl who has a rock and roll father, and she witnesses him being electrocuted and killed live on stage at a rock concert.
Yeah,
and she goes silent. Rachel Griffiths is the mother, is trying to like raise this child, and she doesn't talk for years and years and years until she hears Ben, who's down the street, who plays the neighbor. He plays guitar out the front, and she it's like she can't talk, but she can only respond through music.
Oh, okay.
And musically, and it's just like, I mean, it's really cheesy, really, really cheesy, and obviously it's been made from like a playwright. But it's such a beautiful movie.
Yeah.
I love it.
Cheesy's all right.
Cheesy's okay.
As long as it's moving,
yeah.
I'm down.
Oh,
I'm
it's so
it.
moving.
Yeah.
The most frustrating part for me, though, is this scene at the end where, I won't give it away, but they're in a taxi and they're racing around Melbourne City trying to find something. And the editing is so disjointed. And for someone that knows the city so well, the continuity is just awful. But I do love picking out those mistakes in film.
Oh, it's the best, especially in a terrible film. And I love a terrible film.
Sure.
Too.
Oh,
yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
Sometimes I'll choose a terrible film over a good film.
It depends on the mood, eh?
Yeah, it certainly does. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they're probably my top favorites. Actually, I've got Jaws tattooed on my arm over here. Let me show you.
Yeah, please. Wait, let me take a snap of that. Hold on.
I actually got this tattoo while I was living in Shark Bay. So it was like a cross between the love of Jaws, the love of Shark Bay as a city, and in this tattoo he's like breaking through a mirror. So he's like sorting out. He's like breaking through his reflection. He's becoming more than what he can see in the mirror. Oh my god,
that's so meaningful.
So cheesy.
What did you make of all the Jaws sequels?
Jaws 2 was really good.
Is it? So you haven't seen it since I was a kid, so I don't have much memory of it.
Jaws 2 is probably a lot more enjoyable.
Because Scheider's in it.
Roy Schneider?
Roy Scheider.
Yeah. Well, he is in the first.
Oh, is he in 3?
I don't think anyone is in 3.
No. You know who is though? I think like Universal Executive's wife. I think literally who's playing.
Is that true?
Something like that. Like the woman, she had some kind of connection to someone big. Yeah.
And what's in the fourth one is
Michael Caine.
Michael Caine. Yeah.
Right. And famously, there's the scene where he's pulled out of the water. And then the camera cuts, and then they go back, and his shirt's completely dry. His hair is perfect.
Oh, amazing!
Yeah.
Okay. Now that's a movie I haven't seen since I was much younger as well.
Enjoyably terrible.
I haven't seen the third one since I've only seen the third one once. Jaws 3D, I think it was called.
Yeah.
And but the first two, I mean, I watch them all the time. I love them.
I'll have to revisit the second one because the third one I've weirdly seen more than maybe the original. I'm not sure.
That's not weird. I'm not surprised at all. But the second is action packed.
Oh, okay.
It's action packed. It's the number one. It's the original teen movie.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
What do you do for fun these days?
I really do like to go and see drag shows.
Yeah. That's great. You still have the love for it. Cause sometimes, people get a little burnt out on it. But again, keeping the separation, I'm sure that helps.
I always say the only thing better than a good drag show is a shit drag show.
This is just like the terrible film thing.
Yeah.
Because, a connoisseur does enjoy.
But when I say a shit drag show, I don't mean a bad drag show. I mean like I want to be confused.
Okay.
When someone is up there and they're just making a total mess of themselves, but they do it with intention.
Yeah.
And it's calculated, but who knows what the fuck they're doing. I love it. It blows my mind.
Yeah.
I don't really like. I love a good alternative drag show that's done properly, but I love like a polished drag queen doing something fucking weird. That's my favorite.
Yeah, I do love that. I love any time that you see something and you're like, oh my God, like what is this? I don't know, like I'm not familiar with this. Like when I first saw Katya, actually.
Oh yeah.
Doing the Russian numbers and then the spoken word religious number into Pussy Good, Pussy Sweet, like that kind of stuff. Yeah. What was the other thing I was going to ask you? Sorry, my mind just went blank. I'm still very tired from this weekend.
It's an exhausting weekend. Also, who do I think I am sitting here saying that DragCon is exhausting? I am exhausted from trying to get people into my booth. I don't know how the other girls do it, but yeah.
I didn't even have a booth. I just,
You're exhausted. Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. I might have socialized a little bit too much afterwards as well, but hey, what are you going to do?
Oh, that's a rookie mistake.
Now I know, and I'll probably do the same thing next time.
It's inevitable.
It was fun.
It's a great weekend. Oh my goodness, yeah. I made a really smart decision not to book myself any gigs on the Sunday night.
When I saw that there was the big after parties, the things, this, I was like, I don't know how they've done, especially have people in full regalia, standing all day.
Yep.
And by the way, I wanted to mention your outfits are spectacular, and I love the use of color. And especially when I saw you at the con, you were in an all green number.
Yes.
Fabulous glasses.
Oh, thanks.
As well. Yeah.
I actually really like old school drag. I really like, inevitably big hair. I love big boobs. I love a big ass, I would say. I love crazy, I remember going to this rock and roll band from Melbourne. They were called the Blowwaves. They're a queer, like indie, like punk band that I used to love when I was much younger. Their number one groupie was a drag queen. I can't remember what her name was for the life of me. And she just wore balloons as boobs and always a band shirt. And I thought she was the most outrageously beautiful thing I'd ever seen. I love it big, bold, colorful, like camp and crazy.
Yeah.
I don't care for this gothic,
minimal,
tiny little person. Not here for it. I'm not here for it. I want to laugh. I want to cry. I just want to be entertained. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite on season 11? No,
Yeah, I'll take my sip. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do I have a favorite on season 11? Yeah, Nina West is my kind of drag queen.
Yeah.
I love a political drag queen and I love a camp drag queen. They're the first number twos. Nina West was incredible. I would love to have seen her go all the way, but I can't wait to see what she does afterwards. I thought Akira was great. She's a very polished, incredible drag queen. Yeah. I think she'd be an incredible entertainer outside of the show.
Sure.
And I think Evie's going to take it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She seems like she's got the right underdog story arc going for her, and she's a great entertainer and, an interesting personality. I think she did really well.
Did you see her pink carpet entrance?
No. I watched the pink carpet, but I was right up the other end.
Sure. Well, the video's on I think the DragCon Instagram.
Okay, I'll have to have a look.
Because I missed it. But I think because I was like pacing around waiting to do the panel. So I was like going in there trying to see because I wanted to make sure that it sounded great because we were recording it. But anyway, then that's the kind of thing. Then afterwards you go, oh yeah, there was this huge thing happening right over that, beside that pane of glass, and I wasn't like even aware.
Well, that's what happens when you're like, I'm not presuming that you're nervous, but if you're like anxious about something big that's about to take off, you completely suffocate all of your surroundings.
That's what it is. I get tunnel vision with it.
Yeah,
and
tunnel
I'm just
vision.
Like, okay, so we got that now. Can I play this playlist? Do they have Wi-Fi? That just all that sort of thing.
Yeah, of course. No, I watched the pink carpet was really exciting this year. I feel like they had more queens walking it than they ever have before. And that's what I think DragCon is really funny because you've got like the psychics down one end. The first year I did DragCon, the booth next to us was selling broth.
I saw some kind of stem cell thing.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
But it's great that these people are there because they bulk it out, and that's what DragCon is. It's a convention.
Right, exactly.
But people are there for the drag queens, and they're specifically there for the drag race queens. So let's have a moment with them all entering on the pink carpet and celebrate it. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed the pink carpet this year.
I was really happy to see RuPaul doing the DJ set. I missed the Ru Talk, sadly. So I was happy to see that. That was fun.
Yeah, RuPaul DJing was pretty amazing.
Especially because he's on this platform. I'm sure most of you listening have seen video of this. but he's on this giant platform that underneath is this massive video screen with nothing but images of RuPaul from over the years.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
There's no one else, like living or dead, that would get away with that much narcissism, but I respect it. I love every bit of it.
Same here.
You know, I was booked to do a show on the main stage at DragCon on the Sunday, directly following RuPaul. So I was very honored to have RuPaul warming up and opening.
Yeah. Not a bad opening act.
For us, but I was kind of standing back watching Ru DJing and thinking, oh my God, she just looks like a bit of a robot up there. Like, she's having a great time, but this is crazy. But then when I got backstage and was ready to do the number, I was told by her manager, I guess, that she was having a really good time and we were going to be going on an hour late because she decided that she wanted to DJ for longer. And I thought, you know what, that's amazing. That's really incredible.
Yeah. I know I'm pushing things back, but I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
And it's kind of my thing.
It's RuPaul's DragCon.
Exactly.
You do what you want. And I thought, go on 2 hours late. I don't mind. This is your DragCon and you're enjoying it, so you're asking for more stage time? That's great.
Yeah, it is.
I love to hear people enjoying themselves.
Oh, and also you did a lip sync during the DJ set.
Yeah.
To Ace of Base's I Saw the Sign.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, were you there?
Oh, yeah. No, I loved it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll post a clip of it. I took some video.
Well, yeah, their manager at the back, they said, Ru's pushing it back. She wants to keep DJing. Would you like to do a runway? I said, well, not really. But they said, no, we think you should. So we said, all right, we'll go out there. And it was a pretty iconic moment for me, I guess. Ru on the microphone saying, everybody, it's Karen from finance. And I thought, oh, wow, what life am I living? Who do I think I am? Here we go.
Now, who was the other queen with you?
So her name is Art Simone.
Oh, right. Yeah.
She's from my city as well, from Melbourne. She's been doing drag a lot longer than I have. Just is one of the most spectacular, artistic, creative drag minds I've ever come across in my life. And I'm so honored and lucky to be able to call her a sister and say that I'm from the same city as her and have her represent what drag in our city is.
Yeah.
Her looks all of DragCon were just spectacular. They're always incredible.
Yeah.
And I don't know anyone more hardworking in the industry than her.
What's the upstart drag scene like right now?
The upstart drag scene in Melbourne?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure what it is like comparatively to everywhere else, but we are really big on celebrating what they call baby drag.
Yeah.
There's a baby drag night pretty much every Thursday at every club back home. I think all around Australia. People are really celebrating new up-and-comers. And of course, we're always looking for new talent that are ready to, take the next step and start doing club shows and working more permanently. I love it. I love seeing the baby drag shows because I think that they always put in a lot more effort than anybody else. If you've got the gig, you're working every week. Sometimes, I know I'm guilty for it, for not coming up with new work as often as I probably should. But the baby queens are always trying to make that name for themselves. And they're just incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your regular gig?
I don't really have a regular gig.
Yeah.
I don't know how I can call myself a full-time queen because I work enough. I work
that's full-time.
Around the clock.
Yeah.
But I don't have a regular gig. I have one weekly gig, which is an event called Thursday. At Yaya's, which again is like a punk rock venue in Melbourne, which I love.
Yeah.
Every Thursday night at 12:30, I get up and host a competition called Lip Sync for Your Pint. We get 2 wasted kids to jump up. I give the best lip syncer a pint of beer and move on. We give away 10 beers, but I didn't do a number. And that's very Karen from Finance style. She's known for turning up and hosting or emceeing a gig, but she very rarely performs.
Okay.
I don't know how I built that for myself, but I really like it. I really enjoy emceeing and, being part of the crowd.
Well, Karen is in administration, so this is, very in line.
Yeah. It works with the character as well. She works 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, very hard. And then Friday night drinks call and she's out for the weekend.
Exactly.
And so if it means that she gets given a microphone at the club, then so be it. But yeah, other than that Thursday night gig, I do my next regular gig, I guess, is working with In the Dark, the touring company.
Yeah.
There's always, a tour on at least once a month or so. So I'm often out doing that. And then I'm also part of a drag cabaret called Yummy.
Okay.
Which we perform pretty regularly, actually. We're about to go and do a 5-week stint in London over summer.
Cool.
We're doing 7 shows a week for 5 weeks.
Wow.
On the Thames in London.
No, that's not full-time.
It's full-time.
It's full-time.
But you know what I mean? I find myself busy week to week, but every week is different.
Sure, and also there's a lot of prep. There is a lot of planning that goes into that. And every time you're thinking about the job, that is work.
That's exactly right. And every time you think about the job is every second of the waking day.
Right, exactly.
I guess what helps get me so much work is the fact that I'm called Karen from finance, and I do work in a niche. I get a lot of really interesting corporate gigs.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Like very recently, I was working at a makeup festival for one of the big 4 banks in Australia. They went to their marketing company and said, "We are a bank and we are going to be the official sponsor of the makeup festival. What do you have that could possibly link makeup and finance?" And I said, "Well, we've got the perfect thing for you, you know?" I once got called in at the end of financial year to this retail like giant organization. They had an amazing year and made millions. And they wanted to spice things up at their end of financial year meeting. So they called me in to surprise the board and read out like the figures for their end of financial year report. And I just thought, how did this happen?
That's amazing.
And they're the sort of gigs that I get.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Right?
I love it.
God bless.
I love it. I hope they keep coming.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Any other things you'd like to talk about before we conclude?
Yeah. Well, I guess it's a perfect link. These are the gigs that I do day in, day out, but I would like to take more control over what my output is. Sure. I guess any artist wants, to have more control over the creative output that they have. So I'm currently working on my first debut one-woman show.
Oh, fantastic.
Which is called Out of Office, aptly named, which is touring with In the Dark. They've been so great to take me on board as their first non-Rue girl, really, to do a tour. Apart from Sherilyn Barnes. Hi, Sherilyn. I'm touring Australia and New Zealand in September with this show. It's like a full-length 75-minute show, one-woman show.
Yeah.
And I'm excited because I think it's really different to all the one-woman shows I've seen thus far in the drag, industry.
Sure.
It's fully narrative based.
Oh, great.
So it's very theatrical.
Yeah.
It's there's at least like 12 or 13 numbers in it, so it's full of drag, but it's I tell a story. Well, I don't want to give too much away.
No, you got to leave a little mystery and suspense to find out what Karen from Finance is going to get herself up to
when she's out of office.
Oh yes, a lot of things can change when Karen is out of office.
There you go.
What are a couple of your signature numbers that you do?
My number one signature number is one that I call Karen Gets Fired, which is actually the first number that I ever made.
Oh, really?
It's still to this day what I consider the best. It's like 7 minutes long, and it tells a story of Karen getting fired from the office by her CFO.
Yeah.
He's a misogynist, and I think there's like 8 different songs that are mashed together with some dialogue. So he fires her because what does he say? Her tits are too small. Her breath stinks and something else, and he fires her, and she gets upset and decides that she's going to fight to get her job back.
Yeah.
And our first ever female prime minister, Julia Gillard, did this amazing speech in Parliament about sexism and misogyny, and I do the speech as part of this number when I'm trying to fight for the job back. So that's probably my number one iconic number. That's my favorite performance to do.
Yeah.
And that ends with 9 to 5.
Oh, classic. Yeah.
It's iconically right that Karen from Finance would celebrate getting her job back by doing the song 9 to 5, which is actually about really suffering in the workplace.
Exactly. Yeah. And maybe one day you'll get out from under this rock.
Exactly.
Have you ever seen Dolly's performance in 9 to 5 at the 15th anniversary of Disney World or Land, whatever the younger one is? Because one of them has been around for forever. The other one was not that old. Anyway, it features Dolly giving a speech to all of the female Disney characters who have been kept after working hours by the mean old boss. And it's like, you don't have to take this. Listen. And then she's given a whole speech, and then she goes to the 9 to 5 with Minnie Mouse. And
wow.
Oh, it's amazing. I'll send it to you.
Please do.
And the special that it's from is hosted by the Golden Girls.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's incredible. There's an appearance by Webster. Yeah. It's chock full of hits.
Okay, well, that's what I'm going to watch when I get home tonight, immediately when I get home. That sounds incredible. Golden Girls, Minnie Mouse, and Dolly Parton all in one. Wow.
All in one.
Great.
Delightful 2-hour package.
Love it.
Well, it's been such a delight having you on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. And what song would you like to close out with?
All right. Well, you know what? If we already played Working Girl by Dolly Parton, what do you want, another camp song or?
It's up to you. Totally up to you.
Let's play a little Birdy song.
Yes, perfect.
Let's play a little Birdy song. All right, you know what song it's going to be? Okay, well, let's play their number one, right? Their number one, their debut hit from their first album. It's called Beautiful to Me.
Okay, great. Perfect. Well, here we go with Little Birdie and Beautiful to Me. Thanks so much, Karen. Oh, wait, and where can people find you online if they don't already know?
Of course, you put the @ symbol or the hashtag in front of Karen from Finance on every platform, and my website is straight up and down, karenfromfinance.com.
Perfect. Till next time, everyone.
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you.